Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Sharing is caring. And whatever a community is involved in, one needs to share with everybody in the community. We're all individuals, but we're also part of something greater, a community. And that is really evident now in what's going on with the Jewish people in Israel and throughout the world. The sense of belonging is greater today than ever before. Not just because of the evil doings of Hamas, the butchering, the completely inhumane way of these people, if you could call them that. But what's going around the world? Anti-Semitism. And who's standing with the Jewish people? Who's doing that? So Jews are recognizing we only have each other. So it's on one hand, it's unfortunate, the things that occurred and the actions that are still occurring, in the sense that we are a nation alone. But that's also now of our choosing. That we are part of Am Yisrael. And people are feeling it more than ever. That's the biggest blessing we have. Being a Jew, being part of the Jewish nation. Which is remarkable. That what's happening is bringing out the true neshama of the Jew. More than ever. So, we begin today, letter 30. Letter 30 actually begins with this idea that there's a concept of coming together in a community. And where that concept of community begins in a kind of daily basis, it's the idea of prayers. So our sages say that whoever's accustomed to come to synagogue on a daily basis, right, they're part of a community, and one day they don't show up, right? So the Holy One, blessed be He, God, inquires after this individual. Where were you? In other words, you're integral to the community, and you didn't show today. Where were you? Parenthetically, by the way, I just want to say, who doesn't show here on a daily, it comes every day, and one day they don't show? Got the message. So yeah, that was my 2 cents. That's not what the Tanya says. But the Alter Rebbe does say that applies to all commandments. Well, maybe then the Alter Rebbe is saying this, right? Especially the mitzvah of tzedakah, charity, because as the Talmud tells us that is balanced against all of the other commandments. So in other words, if a person was customarily charitable, and then one day the person's not, right? Maybe they did things on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, whatever, and all of a sudden they're not. God inquires after that individual. What's happening? Right? Now, even though when it comes to being charitable, a person's not bound by a vow, right? In other words, this isn't a legal force of a vow that you have to give, whatever manner that you would, that you usually give, right? Nevertheless, it's not becoming of the divine soul of a person who's a, person of valor, someone who has the sense of the awe of God in their heart, that they should reduce that which is holy, meaning that they restrict their charitable contributions. Why? Because maybe they have less. Ooh, you have less, so you think, instinctually what we think is charity is the first thing to go. No, it shouldn't be that way. Because shouldn't be that way. In other words, charity, tzedakah, is giving to those that are humble of spirit, impoverished, who need. And that neediness is also of the time of exile, where Sukkah David Hanefelis, the Sukkah of David, meaning the structure of David, meaning the Holy Temple, is fallen, which means the divine presence of God is in exile, which is the level of Malchus, of Atzilus, Malchus, royalty of Atzilus. And what we need to do is pick it up and exalt it. That's our job. To make it one with the oneness of God. Right? To create the union. That's what we got to do. And that's what charity does. Is to pick up that which is fallen. Again, the presence of God. The Malchus of Atzilus. The person that's fallen, in the sense that they are in need, and we pick them up. Beautiful parallel. Further, says the Alter Rebbe, that everything in a person's life is judged by the multiplicity of action. As Maimonides explains, Rambam, that every time you do the mitzvah of being charitable, you're refining your soul. You're becoming a giver. Not, not once a year a giver, not once a month a giver, but whatever, in a weekly basis, whatever it is, or a monthly basis. So make sure that you do that. And it should be in accordance to the cheshbon. The multiplicity of action brings to a great cheshbon, a great amount, a great accounting. In other words, the more often you give, the more often it adds up. And this is what the sages say. All individual coins given in charity all add up to a great amount, the cheshbon gadol. And it's taught by the sages, when is God great? When the city of God, Malchus, is built up. So what does that mean? God is great. What does it mean God is great? He's infinite. He's infinite. When does that infinity, when it's combined with the finitude of giving, of each act of giving, that's what makes the greatness. In other words, there's a union between the finite and the infinite. God's greatness is infinite. The cheshbon, the accounting that we give, which is malchus, which is finite, the source of creation, it's finite. So when we are giving, so we're bringing then together malchus, the finite of the divine, with the infinite of the divine, bringing that together as a union, that now brings that God will make his countenance shine forth and radiate down to us with a supreme favor. For God is ultimately the Ein Sof, is the source of all life. That's a greatness that's unfathomable. That when we refer to God in his greatness, right? And that greatness then is united and animates thereby all that Malchus gives life to. The source of life is the Ein Sof, is the infinite of God, the greatness of God. Right? Great in the sense that infinite. Then it funnels through to all created beings by Malchus that animates all of creation. So, therefore, giving charity, that means when we give charity, tzedakah, we do it with goodwill and a friendly countenance. That brings together, marries together the power of Gadol Havaya, the greatness of God, the infinite of God, right? Together with the finite framework of Cheshbon, which means the sphere of Malchus, and therefore brings life, brings peace down here. Brings peace. And what is peace? When you can make it, when it can be conciliatory between two opposites, two extremes. And that's what we do. The Ein Sof, the 10 spheres, become vested in this world, the world of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, and brings life, the light and the life of God down into this world in a manner that brings peace to this world. And it concludes the 30th letter, the Alter Rebbe saying, and this will suffice for the discerning. Wow, powerful idea. So in these times where the enemies of the Jewish people are rearing their ugly head, not just in the Middle East, but throughout the world, the Jewish answer, of course, is show strength with your soldiers and do what you have to do. But for us, what we have to do is being charitable. By being charitable, we rise up the divine presence of Hashem. By being charitable, we draw down into this world by marrying the infinite and the finite of the divine. Right? Ein Sof with Malchus. Gadol Havaya, Cheshbon Gadol. Right? We marry the two things, bring that life into this world, and it creates peace. So that's our job at this time. Amongst all the other mitzvahs that we need to do to change the world for good. Amazing. So, We just started our campaign of doing mitzvahs. The onemitzvah.org/Israel/CZK campaign. I just put it on Facebook. Please take a mitzvah upon yourself to change the world. We just spoke here about what tzedakah does, charity, but you'll see there's lots of mitzvahs. You don't have to just stop there. Please take upon yourself mitzvahs that you can do. How can I do it over here? Vidar, Liba, if you could just, if you can maybe take it from what I just put it over here on Facebook and put it on Instagram also, that would be amazing. Okay, or someone, whoever could, that'd be amazing, and share that so everybody can have an opportunity to do a mitzvah. Take as many mitzvahs as you can upon yourself, because it's the mitzvah that's going to marry the infinite and the finite of the divine to bring that light into this world. The main mitzvah we spoke about here is tzedakah. But every time we do a mitzvah, that's what it does. It makes a connection. It makes a connection between the infinite and the finite of God. Bring a new light, new life, peace. Now, which ultimately peace will mean that that klipa will be eradicated. It's either eradicated because they themselves eradicate it, right? Putting down their arms, or someone has to do it for them. Hopefully they'll learn when they just put down their arms, which would be obviously amazing. Okay. Livsh has a question. Does our intent, kavana, have an effect on our tzedakah? Yes, remember we said you have to give the tzedakah, the charity, with a favorable manner, in a kind way, with goodwill and friendliness. Absolutely. 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 All right. So here we got the opportunity. A reminder, tonight is JLI, Jewish Learning Institute. The world of Cabala. Really fascinating stuff. Many of you have signed up already and will be joining. Some of you haven't. If you haven't yet, I strongly urge you, go to JLI Montreal.com. All right. Any other questions? I don't see. Yes. Tomorrow I will be traveling to the Kinus HaShluchim. I will be there. So Tanya will be, it may be off a touch on time, or maybe not. I'm not certain yet. It depends. But yes, I will be there, God willing. Okay. Look for me. Ashley has a question. Okay, if you lend a friend money and tell them not to worry about payback, is it a mitzvah to encourage them to pay it forward to charity? Well, if you gave it to them, so then, yeah. And first of all, that's okay. That's wonderful to do that. is that a mitzvah for them to give? Of course it would be. That would be wonderful. If they're in the position that they can do that, for sure, or part of it, or whatever the case may be. Absolutely. Very nice. All right. So just to say hello, I haven't said hello to Susanna in Florida, Eugenia in Calgary, Mark, Carmen, Mark in Frisco, Texas. All right. And Deborah in Kitchener, Davida and Liba in New York, Leah in Florida, Ashley in Texas, Leah in Florida, David in California. Who else? Rena in Colorado, Linda May in, not certain, Zar in Malaysia, John in North Carolina, Michelle, you have to remind me, Holly, welcome, Diane in Arizona, Vilma Celeste, we have Alice in Baltimore, we have Coy in Lima, Peru, in Telaventa, New York, Misha in New York, Carlos in, to remind me, Carlos, Rachel in South Carolina, Abigail, oh, right downstairs, I think. Will there be a replay after sign up? Yes, absolutely. There's always a replay. For the Cabala course, yes, it's recorded. Absolutely. Amy. All right. Beautiful, folks. If I missed somebody, I'm sorry. Clem in Brisbane. Daphne in South Carolina. All right, amazing. Okay, Rambam coming up right after this. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad, Zichron, Kadeshim, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and pleasure to share with you, Tanya. An amazing, great day.